everyone, it's Christine again with the Artist Pod. And today instead of doing a art tutorial, I figured I'd talk just a little bit about what's going on. I'm sure you've noticed I've missed a couple of uploads on accident. When I started this channel, I was also going to show a lot of the back end, and then I focused more on the drawing side than the back end. But I think, it's something worth talking about, especially if you are an artist. I'm sure that you've noticed this too. So the economy isn't doing great. And as an artist and as somebody who, my income is selling my work, it's a little alarming. It kind of started in mid-2023, where I noticed that things were starting to shift and change and sales were starting to drop off in a way that I hadn't seen. I started trying to pivot, and so I offered digital downloads of my work, which didn't really take off, and I offered some art prints. Really, though, still the way I do the best is with t-shirts, my work printed on t-shirts. And so I'm still pivoting. I'm still attempting to find something that will put me on slightly more stable ground. There's also art fairs and other things that I am going to apply to and start trying to sell in person as well. In person, obviously, you can save on shipping, and so things can be a little cheaper. However, lowering your prices isn't necessarily the answer, which is the crux of everything, right? As somebody who's been selling for a while, what I've learned is that if you price too low, people assume your product is cheap and they don't buy it. And so you do want to have a price that's high enough that makes it seem like it's worthwhile. That's why I charge $26.95. That's why my shirts are $26.95 with shipping included. It's a premium shirt. I know that my drawings are, high quality, and so I charge a little extra for that. But I know people that sell, their shirts for more, as much as $30. And even when I worked with the Virginia Zoo, they were selling them for $32. My shirts for $32. And so I know that they'll sell at $26.95. The problem is, I think right now what's happening is with the downturn in the economy, people aren't buying as much for themselves, right? Everybody's sort of holding on to their money. So if anybody tells you that something hasn't changed, I don't think that is true. I think something definitely has changed. My Q4, this past Q4 was the worst Q4 I've ever had. It started exceptionally late. Usually my Q4s start around the beginning of October. And so October, November, December, solid months. This year, Q4 didn't even start until after Thanksgiving. And so then you only had the rest of November and December until the cutoff for when people could get stuff for Christmas to really make sales. And it was less than half of what I usually do. Obviously concerning. And I've been in business for a few years. So, I think something that's important as business owners, if you're finding yourself in the same situation, is to pivot. We can't, I can't stay static, right? It's not working right now. What I'm doing, it's not working. And so when I saw the early signs, I attempted to pivot early, but that means I also know what wasn't working when I attempted to pivot, so I can pivot in different directions, right? One of the phrases I've always loved, and I think it's very true, is the quickest way to success is through failure, right? Fail quickly because you'll learn more. So with all of these failures, I've been learning more and more. So I have a friend who runs a wood sign business, and I am starting to design for that. She has is graciously allowing me to create designs that she'll create. She'll actually do the woodworking. So that'll be good. And I've been dabbling at that. So I think pivoting into wood signs will be a good thing. I know not everybody will be able to do that though. But there's a lot of research to be had, figuring out what you can do and how you can pivot. I think there are still tons of opportunity. I know that there's still people crushing it with t-shirts. I think personalization might be a big thing. Currently, my solar eclipse shirts, one of them, is doing really well on Etsy, or has started making sales on Etsy, but that's going to be, over almost imminently. So with the wood signs, I am having to learn Illustrator, which is a program I never never learned before. And so that's been taking up a lot of time, is just trying to learn that. And obviously I'm not really doing tutorials on that because I don't know how to use Illustrator. And so half the time I'm having to Google, how do I, make an object? How do I edit a path? How do I remove an anchor point? And I've gotten a lot better, and in just the month I've been learning it. But it's still a huge learning curve, and I'm a little bit over my head with it. The reason I never used Illustrator was because it was always over my head. It always felt like it was a little bit past my ability to learn, but I guess, when you have no choice and you're working with it every day, it becomes easier, which is probably exactly what's happening. The more I'm working with it, the easier it's becoming. I'm still having to use Photoshop as a crutch, though. So I do the base design in Photoshop. I then take it over to a website called png to svg.com, and I turn it into an SVG, but these are only silhouettes. I don't think I could do it with a more complicated design. And then I import that into Illustrator, and I finish it up in Illustrator, adding the text and everything else. So I've gotten better at that. I'm understanding more and more. Obviously, none of my current designs work for this because it's wood, and you can only print so small. And so having to build up a whole even doing 5 signs has taken me a month, partly because I'm learning, right? I'm learning Illustrator. I'm redoing designs, doing research to figure out, where I could fit in, especially with my skill set as an artist. What could I do to offer like a 3D printed or 3D effect sign? So I just wanted to talk about that just briefly. I know this isn't a long video. I'm still working on the tutorials. I'm still doing drawings. It's just a lot of things have been, I'm having trouble having enough time in the day to do all the things that I need to do, because I am doing so much right now. And that's kind of where I've ran myself into. So I still have, time lapses to do. I was still working on doing that tutorial for finishing out that face. We have the eyes and the nose. We've got to draw the mouth, and trying to fit all of these sort of pieces in as I'm shuffling everything around. But, if you are an artist and you've noticed a downturn, you're not the only one. I think it's happening across the board. As I mentioned, though, I am also going to apply for fairs. That might be something to do, if you're an artist trying to figure out what to do. So one of the things that I was going to look at is looking at anime conventions. There's an anime convention in my area. I was going to apply to that first, and if that went well, I apply to some that are just a little further out that are much bigger. So we'll see how that goes. That convention is in November, but the applications for Artist Alley are coming up imminently in the next week or two. And so I've been keeping an eye on it so that I can apply for that. It doesn't guarantee I'll get in, but if I can apply for it, maybe I can get in. And then being there and selling something, might help too. So just trying to brainstorm ways to pivot. Again, I think personalization will be big. I know that there are t-shirt sellers that are killing it right now. And some of what they're offering is personalization. And it can be something simple like, their name, or you can have them have a phrase over one of my drawings, and so I've been adding sprinkling a few of those in. The only one that has really done anything is the solar eclipse shirt, is the one that people have opted for personalization, because I just have the date. And so a lot of people aren't opting for any personalization, but some people are opting to have the location underneath the date. So, you're not alone if you're noticing that things are a bit of a struggle. If suddenly everything has turned south, you're certainly not alone. I've noticed it, and it's significantly impacted my business. I'm just a little struggling right now. However, I still think it's not something I'm willing to give up on. It's through if I can survive through the difficult times, then I know that I can, my business can explode. And if I can find something that sustains me through times like this, then my business is only going to scale more significantly. I'm doing something now that I never even would have considered had I not been in this situation. So I'm taking this as sort of a blessing in disguise, in that it's forcing me to think about it differently, right? My profit margin on shirts isn't much. It's it's anywhere from like $10 to like 50 cents, and that's not significant. Um, Obviously that's hard to make a living. You have to sell so many. So, just trying to like think through what could be better. What am I doing? What am I missing? How can I make this a more solid business that can weather through something like this? So the benefit of something like this is I was only going to do it if I had to do it, and here I am having to do it. So don't be afraid to pivot. I think that's one of the things. If if you're a working artist, right? We're scrappy. I think to get to this point, we're already to a point where we're a little scrappier already. We're already used to having to pivot, and necessity is a great motivator. So I just wanted to give you a quick update. I know it's not a drawing this week. Hopefully next week I don't let time slip away and I get you a drawing up. But either way, thank you so much. Now, floating down there next to me, I have some videos of art tutorials I have done, and I will see you all soon. Thank you so much. Take care.